Hello. Hello, everyone. I am just waiting for some people to join in. Just sitting here, just waiting. I'm bringing up on my phone, of course, so that I can see what's happening. The wind is blowing like crazy outside my house. So I see I'm on YouTube. Hello, Carlene. And I'm on Facebook. So we are here. I am here. Just waiting to see where there's some other people, and it's just me tonight. I don't have the other ladies with me, but I am just stopping in. We are in full moon energy. We have a full moon in Capricorn happening tonight, tomorrow, through the energy. We just had a big shift with Uranus going into Gemini. A lots have been happening. We have a whole month of like retrogrades coming up. Like we are so retrograding here. Which kind of is retrograde is not bad. It kind of slows things down a little bit. It was blowing crazy there yesterday, Liz. Yeah, it was beautiful here yesterday. And then no, it wasn't the day before. Yesterday was nice. Yesterday was not bad. The day before was really hot, which is what I really, really love. And then today has been cold and windy. And then I went into Basha to pick up a few things, and I had the windows left down somewhat in my vehicle because I had jazz in there, and I wasn't even in there 2 minutes, and this big freaking storm blew in, and I came back out, and my whole vehicle was soaking wet, like soaking wet. I'm like, holy shit! It was like a matter of 5 minutes, and my vehicle was just like it, and then it stopped, and now it's just been cold. So, and in between all of that, myself and Jazzy are down in our yard, fascinated with our new find, and that's the snakes. We are fascinated with the snakes, myself and Jazzy. Um, at one time, I used to like almost come out of my skin about seeing a snake. But now that I actually have them living in my yard, a little different, uh, I'm not looking forward to retrograde. Why not, Liz? Why not? retrograde is not retrograde is not a bad thing. It is the resistance that we put in of trying to force and push rather than trust the flow of the retrograde, right? And so it's like we're we're just in such a different time. The water is super calm here. I keep thinking calm before the storm. Yeah. Yeah, Carlene. I just remember like when I lived in Springdale and stuff, and the water on the ocean used to get calm, like really crazy calm. And it always was that thought: this is the calm before the storm, right? And of course, with this energy we have, this could be this calm before a storm. Uh, Capricorn is kind of shaking things up. So yeah, it really is. There's definitely things that are happening and going down. There's definitely change. There's definitely some change. I've had some real experiences in the past week of the spirit of people who are alive that are coming to me and communicating to me in my sleep, and then finding out things later. But you know, there was also I got news today of something that's kind of shook my world a little bit. It's kind of it shook my world. Well, I there was one I read, and the other one I was informed of, and so It's definitely a shakeup. The world is being shaken up somehow a little bit. We are a little bit upside down. Um, July is definitely going to be a tipsy turvy month, right? And we're already well into it, so we're already well into it. But even the weather is very unpredictable this summer. Like we've had such an unpredictable weather. I got my cupboards open on my cat on this desk that I use, so I can put my feet up on the thing inside. And I got this habit of putting my hands on it and like leaning in on it. I don't know why. Um, Hello, hello, hello. We're just chatting, Sherry and Kristen, while we're just waiting for people to come in. So I'm just chatting with the few people that's been here. For those who are watching and not commenting, then you're just a part of the conversation with us as we're just chatting. Um, and yeah, hello, Tracy. And Tracy Leggett had a birthday this week. Upside down and backwards. Yes. And of course, in the midst of all this, there's a lot of really good elements in this. Like there's a lot of really good possibilities. I did post the energy update on YouTube for the month of July, and I posted this week's energy update, and then I posted the card reading for this week as well. And it really lines to the class that I'm going to start teaching this weekend. So I have a class coming up, and it is one of my soul revival Sunday groups that I coaching that I do every so often. It's a series that I've created within the academy, and in that is it's about unshaming ourselves. It's about no, all the things that are like weapons of self destruction, and to really bring forth the part of ourselves that we have shamed out of existence, that he has either we've shamed or has been shamed out of us or guilted out of us to not to be, and bringing that to light. So we're working with in your natal chart. There's a place in your astrology in your natal chart that is your it is the dark moon and Lilith in your placement chart, and it's that kind of farthest point away energy. And so it's the part of ourselves that we move farthest away, and then being able to bring it back into the light and just coming back into that truth and living that truth. And soul revival work is those places of where, we tell ourselves um, like, I feel like a part of myself, I lost a piece of myself in that relationship, or I lost a piece of myself in that job, or a piece of myself in that trauma or that experience in life. And just kind of going back to that experience and picking you back up, like metaphorically, instead of having to walk through it all again, just walking back and just saying, excuse me, like I left a piece of me here. I left a piece of my light, and I'm picking up my light, and I'm bringing my light back, and I'm putting my light back, putting that piece of me back into place. I'm bringing it back up, bringing it back in. Last year of my 50s bring on the adventure. Yeah, right. It is. It's like the end of an era for you, Tracy. I mean, you're celebrating, you just turned 59 years old, and so you're celebrating that last stage as you now take the turn into a new era in your life. And those are big moments or big things in our lives. Hi, Carrie. Hi, Camille. Um, and so there's many things that are transpiring, right? Um, I hit my midpoint of my 50s next year, on my birthday. But this full moon and where we are, you may be feeling it's a cardinal sign. Like Capricorn is cardinal. It's get shit done. It's get shit done, and it's get shit cleared up. Let's resolve this. Let's fix this. Let's find a solution. It is very solution based. It is very much a go 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 go. And so it is not. Its cardinal signs are kind of a little bit pushy. It has a pushiness to it, but it's not to kind of be pushed to kind of push you, in a way to be kind of bossy. It's to push us out of our comfort. It's to push us out of the comfort that we have created or that we exist in, that is really not that comfortable. Think about it. I want you to really think about this. Think about think about the things that you keep repeating, the patterns, the habits that you keep repeating, and you're saying, like, oh, I'm so afraid of change. But yet you're where you're sitting is not serving you any good. Imagine that. So it's like, I'd rather sit here in my misery than move out of this misery of my own creating in my mind, in my heart, wherever it may be, but I'm afraid of what's to come. No, no, is you can't control it. And so we can control that misery, right? I'm a Capricorn. Yes, so you are, Carlene, right? Yeah. And Capricorn, I call Capricorns like my consumer reports. They have to like research every little aspect. They have to know every little detail. They are so organized and they are so detail oriented. If you want someone to lead a group and to make sure there is nothing left undone, put a Capricorn in there. Bring the Capricorn. But Capricorn can also be logical to the point that they forget to trust their intuition. And this full moon, because it's in the moon energy and the moon is related to the element of the emotions, is that this is inviting us to use our logic and to use our intuition, right? To use all faculties, see all perspectives to bring about that change. And so Capricorns get a little bit of a bad rap, just like Scorpios get a little bit of a bad rap. And it's because there is an honesty and a truthfulness that comes with them. Aries, too, I guess, we get a little bit of a bad rap. And it's the sense of there is a strength, there is a force field that comes with it. In the shadow aspect, that force field can be, it can be a little bit pushy. It can kind of when fear infests the creation of something or the possibility of something being created and fear overrides the faith, that's when it kind of becomes it's where you meet resistance. It's where that resistance is met. And so we are being asked to kind of move beyond that fear. And so I shared on Facebook today the energy update, the writing as well. And then in the comments section, I put the 3-card reading that you can go to, but that's on YouTube. So there is so much information about July already out there, and the cards are so aligned to what the universe is giving me, showing me, revealing to me. We have so moved into the period of time where it's like, stop paying attention to those clowns out there prancing around who are trying to play God that should not have that much power in their hands or in their control. And I'm talking about political. None of them should have that much power and that much control. And we should not be that supportive of that world at all, or giving it the time of day we give it. This is a period of time. And I have been saying this for the past, whenever More Than Existing first came out, I have been saying we have to get back into a period of time of where it is about the everyday people. The everyday people matter the most. The everyday people in our lives, your everyday life that you live, being alive in your own life. These are the things that have to matter. We have to more than exist in the places that matter the most. And we have to find our way back to that somehow. And really being able to think for ourselves, to really use the power of discernment. And now that time has come. The shift that has been happening with the planets and the shift that has happened is the turnaround that brings us back to the everyday people, to what really truly matters the most, what brings us the most value, what brings most value to our lives, what makes us feel the sense of being valued. And when people say to me, what's my purpose? I want to know my purpose. Your purpose is to be alive, is to live your life while you're living instead of living it with the fear of the death, right? It's like we all have the same destiny. We're all going to that. We all have the same ending. Every one of us, how it happens is all different. When it happens is different, but it's all the same. And so in the meantime, what matters is the middle. It's what we do in the middle from when we arrive to when we leave. What happens in the middle of our lives is what matters. We are here to live our lives and to live in those experiences and not to numb it, not to ignore it, not to be so distracted and so busy that we're not experiencing it, but to be in our experiences, to be in our world. And I'm like, I could preach this until the cows come home, but I can't. You can't open that up within somebody. You can't move somebody beyond the crippling fear that people are unwilling to move beyond. How do we move beyond that? Is to recognize that everything that you're placing into your future in your fear is projections. You're picking out you're creating these projections, these fear stories of what is possible, and placing it as if it's already reality, that then becomes the obstacle that blocks and stops you from moving forward. What is needed most is our authentic self. It is to truly live in the authenticity of who and what we are. Now, of course, there's a lot more goes with that, but that's the gist. That's the gist of it. That's the gist of what's going on. And if you watch my this week's YouTube video and you're thinking, what was Corrie doing? I have my little birds out that are out on my deck. And I bought them. I bought them for $2 at the Owl Sanctuary a couple years ago. Well, my husband bought them for me, and they had like a little donation table out on the outside or a little sales table where they were selling like had like a little garage sale thing going, and every bit of proceeds were going to this owl sanctuary. And they had these 3 little birds, and their color. And as soon as I seen them, I'm like, oh my God, I need these birds. And so my husband's like, he's way more serious than I am most times. And so he's walking along, and I'm following behind him with this little bird that's like got its head all twisted. And everywhere I go with the bird, I keep going, what the fuck? He's like, what? And I said, that's what that bird is saying. Every time I look at that bird, it's going, what the fuck? What the fuck? And I said, that's the energy this week. It's like, what the fuck? What the fuck? And that's the little bird. So it's in my video. And so the F-bomb that I just shared again the F-bomb is also in my YouTube video. You know, some may say it's not very spiritual, but it's pretty authentic to me if you know me very well. That, you know, I do have some F-bombs along with my seriousness. But that's kind of the week. It's just like there's a lot of things that are going to unfold that you just kind of shake your head at and go, what? And a part of that is all the things that in the world that just kind of like happens. And then we're being told, just pretend like it didn't happen. Pretend like you didn't see that. It never really happened. And so it's almost as if there's like this big match that is kind of lighting the flames of like a massive gaslighting energy. And then trying to tell you it was all in your head. You just made that up. It didn't really happen. And so that can happen within ourselves. We can do that to ourselves. We are our own worst enemies. And so finding our way back to be able to have some fun and some humor in our lives is not always the easiest. And especially not easy when we have this Capricorn cardinal energy that is also here with this full moon. So, right, since the week started, right, Rebecca? Okay, we have a lot of people joining in now. I don't know how many's here, but I just see there's all kinds of people watching. So hello, everyone who is watching, not commenting. It's so nice to see you here. I just wanted to stop in for a few moments and just talk about the full moon and this energy. I just finished telling the people that were already here that I have a lot recorded. I've recorded a lot in the last couple of days. So there is the whole July energy update. There is the weekly energy update, and there is the card reading for this week that is up. I also have my new program. This is a 4-week online coaching and healing class that I'm doing. It's every Sunday for 4 weeks in between my space of my mediumship mentorship program that I'm teaching. So in there on Sunday mornings, it is soul revival work, and it is about unshaming ourselves. And what we're working with is we are working with the aspect of your natal chart, and that is where your moon in Lilith is, where the dark moon in Lilith exists in your natal chart. That's what we're working with. So if you're looking at it and going, if you've got programming around the goddesses and Lilith and all that stuff, I want you to just break free from that, because this is about our shadow aspect, and this is about our truth. This is about our light and our darkness, right? It is about the part of ourselves that we have that has been shamed out of existence, a part of ourselves that has been guilted away. Part of yourself you've probably been told not to have, not to be. And so you've kind of always been stifling that up. And so it's the soul revival is to know that this is a part of who you are, all the way to your Like it is a part of your character. It's a part of the way you arrive, not the way you were programmed or conditioned to be, but it is an innate characteristic trait of yourself that is not to be hidden. It's not to be shamed out of existence. It's about bringing it forward and to be more of it. And even if it is annoys the crap out of other people, who cares if it is you, if it's authentic, if it's your truth, then you are here to wear it unmasked, uncontrolled, a little bit wild, a little bit free, and to set yourself free. So those that program, that Sunday program, if you have not taken any of my classes so far, it is a good one to come into. You don't need any experience. You don't need to know anything about astrology, nothing. I will just give you the link to be able to download the natal chart. I love Cafe Astrology, and they have their actual natal chart there that you can download, and it tells you a whole lot about yourself. Because I'm not a professional astrology. I work with the archetypal energy and the psychology. I'm not a psychologist, but the psychology of how archetypal energy influences us with Carl Jung's work and all of that. And so, as a coach, as a healer, all those things, we incorporate that in there. So, if you want to take anything, this might be your one on Sunday. Okay. Blah. Okay. I want to just bring in a card to open this up. Hello, everyone. Just let me see if I can see some of the comments. I'm still working on my laptop, and I still haven't got my big computer up. Like it's downstairs, but I haven't got my office fully set up. You were talking. Hello, everyone who's joining. Aquarius, age of Aquarius. Ah, yes. And we very much have moved into that age of Aquarius. We're rock, paper, scissors in the office yesterday to see who would get a pass to stay home today for the full moon, because the week was insanity, right? Yeah, it does something. It highlights the area of those full moons, highlights the area where we need to put our attention and focus to heal and resolve that part of ourselves, right? So it's like it don't make us. It's not the thing that makes us crazy. It's what the full moon does. It draws attention to the areas of where we should be putting our healing attention into. Lilith in Aquarius as well. Oh, interesting. Very interesting. So I feel like there's like a bit of a like a bit of a struggle to really, I'm going to kind of intuitively go with this one, but I feel like you sometimes throughout life has really struggled with letting kind of your what would have been called weird, odd, your uniqueness be seen, trying to kind of blend in or fit in with the crowd. Your brilliant ideas kind of being pushed back. Your intuitive thoughts that you would speak out loud when you were younger were kind of either mimicked, mocked, made fun of, or you were told that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That doesn't even make sense. And that's where I feel like some of that story is for you having that Lilith in Aquarius and having, that's only a little piece, but that's, so, bringing that version of yourself back in. Hello, Joshua. Welcome. New at this? Well, welcome. Welcome. Everyone is welcome here. And so, yeah, a little bit. We're going to talk a whole lot about that in the course, but that's a little bit of what I've got. And if you're seeing me looking down, I am looking down at my phone because I also have it on my phone so I can see what's going on here. You're very welcome. Yeah. And really, truly, like you don't realize, go back to your Lilith in Aquarius a little bit here and your sun sign being in Aquarius. is we don't realize that the thing that we hate it the most is the thing that we also do to ourselves. And it's not that we intentionally or consciously do it. It is the unconscious programming, the language that we do to kind of force ourselves to do, to make changes in our lives. So we guilt ourselves, into changes. We kind of just say, geez, look at me, look at me, look what I, look how crazy I'm being, or look how, look at me, look at this weight I got put on. Geez, I got to do something about that. Instead of saying, my, I wonder, I wonder where I have stopped actually putting focus into caring about myself. It's like we shame ourselves, we guilt ourselves, we kind of beat ourselves up and beat our, and into something. It's like, oh God, I got to get on a diet. That's little ones. So it could be our intelligence, it could be our genius, right? The genius aspects of ourselves that no one's seen as a genius. And those genius, we all have a little genius in us, an area where we thrive, where we worked best from. That is our little gift that makes us who we are. Um, my wife loves you. Well, tell your wife I said thank you that she's got you in here. Um, Speaking right to me again, speaking right at you. And so it is those areas, right? And it's like, that's the part of ourselves that we've kind of, may have found joy in treating ourselves, or may have liked something about ourselves. It's your style. Let's just go with style. So style of clothes. Um, so I'm going to give you an example. I remember being a kid, and this is not about laying blame, because this is about us being accountable. But I remember being a kid, and no one intentionally tried to do this to me, but just questioning kind of my style of clothes. And I just remember my dad, who rarely said much to me. I was all dressed one night, and I thought I was so cool. I loved what I was wearing. I felt good when I came down over the steps, and I had on, like, it was like a sweater dress, but I had like skinny jeans on with it, and I loved how it looked. But nobody else was dressing like that. It was nobody around us, not in my friend group or anywhere. I had seen it in a music video, and I loved it. And so I was going to have it. So I got it. And then, of course, I put my blue and my pink eyeshadow on. I'm an 80s girl. And I had it all winged out. And I had, the whole ring around here where your foundation was. And I had the eyelashes all painted with mascara, and my flock of seagulls hairdo I had at the time. And I thought I was looking great. I loved how I looked. And when I walked down over the steps, my father looked at my mother as if I was invisible and I had no ears and couldn't hear. He's like, Jesus, look at that kid. What the fuck she got on? Where does she's not going out looking like that. You better get her to do something about that. Like, that's crazy. She can't go out looking like that. That's disgusting. Well, what do you think? What do you think a 13, 14-year-old kid hears? Right? What did the 13, 14-year-old kid hear? So you either become rebellious to it, and then everything you're doing is an FU, and you're not dressing the way you really want to dress. You're dressing the way then that you're either being totally rebellious, and even though you may not like it, you're doing it anyway. So then an anger grows and a resentment grows. Or you go up and you take it all off and you try to be and fit back in, because God forbid if that's what we'd be like. Now, that's a small example, but it could have been down to what you want it to do in your life as a career, as a job. How many people want it to get, say, the arts degree? And back in the day, I just remember being told, that arts degree is going to be you. You're not doing that. Or even when I was going to study being a hairstylist, guidance counselor at school literally said to me, why would you be that when you could be the psychologist? Why would you go be, you're not going to get nowhere. That's not a career. That's not a career. Why would you do that? But yet I went on to build an empire by being a hairstylist and an esthetician. I went on to build a a massive salon and spa with 17 employees, with a women's only, all women's only, back in the day, 20 something years ago. That was big. I achieved it. I did it. And once it was all done, I thought, look back at it all and go, who was that for? Who was I still trying to prove myself to? Because am I any happier? And how much of living did I actually live? I was so lasered focused on where I had to get, what I was to achieve versus, was that really my dream? Was that, I loved 90% of it, but was it really all of my dream? And what was it, what was the motive behind that? And so unshaming yourself, unguilting yourself is recognize the areas that you kind of push yourself and motivate yourself by kind of pushing yourself by the same things in the same way that was the things that you didn't want happening to you earlier, right? Not toning myself down for others is definitely what I'm working on. I'm a lot on a good day and learning to embrace my big energy, right? Yeah, right. Learning to embrace it. Yeah, that hurts. Yeah, those things hurt. And was it an intention? Were those things intentional? So it's not that everything was intentional, but it's where it sits with you. It's the trauma, that it's the words that are weapons. They are daggers. They stay with you. They become like open wounds. They become like infections within. But they change the narrative of our lives. And of course, how would our parents have known those things, right? This is kind of new to us, stories that we have. And so getting there, recognizing it, and that's why this series that's coming up is so valuable and important, because we don't realize that the same thing, what we didn't want to have done to us again, we keep doing, or we keep allowing. Yeah, yeah. I have the a lot personality too, in a different kind of way. Um, okay, let's go. Let's just go with an overall card. I don't really know if I feel like pulling a whole lot of individuals yet. So let's just play it out. Let's just see. It's really quiet in my house. I don't hear two crazy kittens going nuts. You couldn't have pulled a more perfect card for this conversation. So we got beautiful transformation, Amira. And so behind her is the fire. That totally resonates with you, Sherry? Yeah, right? Um, and so beautiful transformation, Amira. And so she is standing in her water. She's standing in the water, so she's in the emotions. Behind her is that a fire? Is that a sunset? This could change depending on what the card relates to. And in her hand is that she is holding her own light, or she's holding the world, right? Is that the world is ours to create, but do we create it from our emotional immaturities, or do we create it from our evolved self? When we begin to create our lives from our evolved self, from the maturity that we have gained, which we call emotional intelligence. And we don't teach emotional intelligence in school, which maybe we should. And from the emotional intelligence that we gain from our evolution of what we don't want, the things that we don't want done onto us again. And we take all of the past, and instead of letting it keep creating the repeat patterns and cycles and the misery and the hurts and the suffering, is that we transmute it. And when we allow it to be transmuted, is what that means is we neutralize the stories, and the stories simply become stories. And when our stories simply become stories, then they don't have power over us. They are not weapons of destruction. They do not cause us the same hurt, the same pain. We're not trying to be better than who we once were. Is that this is neutral, and that those stories then become empowerment, and it becomes what empowers ourselves to always keep evolving, but it also is what can be the catalyst to help another, help our children, help those that we may meet along the way, so that they may know that they're not alone in their stories. So the beautiful transformation also has this beautiful rock, and Amara has there's this beautiful stone, and all she has to do is step up. And all we have to do in our life is step up, step up, step up, step up, and step out of the place of what's causing us the misery. It's like, oh, wherever there is the unhealthy relationship continues because we stay in the unhealthy relationships. And one of the most unhealthiest relationships we may have our whole lives without even recognizing it is the one that we have with ourselves, because there is the inner critic. So today's energy update is speaking about the inner critic and calling up and out the inner critic. When the inner critic can really truly appear with constructive criticism, or constructive criticism, instead of criticizing as a way to keep pushing you back into the comforts of the habits, the repeat patterns, is that we're like, well, why do you keep believing that? Why is that what's motivating you? Have you really truly seen yourself? Have you really truly looked in the mirror? Have you not seen all the evidence that shows something different, but yet you keep believing the same? It is just like trying to turn red flags green. You cannot turn red flags green. You can't do it. You can't make red flags green. And so when there's red flags, the red flags are there for a reason. The green flag can only come by changing mindset, by changing by the projection, by resolution, by change. And we can only move towards the green by moving forward some way, somehow. We can't move forward by being stuck in the mud of the problem. And we'll never find a solution by continually sitting in the same energy, showing up the same way, responding the same way, reacting the same way. And Lindsay is another one of our Capricorns. Just come in and join us on this full moon. And so there is that sense of, where am I? Where is it that I have given such power and control to my inner critic? Right? And why am I not questioning my inner critic? Why am I not questioning that part of myself? And so this is bringing in the opportunity to question the inner critic. I've pulled so many cards. Go listen to the reading. Go listen to the other reading that I have on YouTube. So divine feminine sisterhood. So I know there's a couple of men in here. We all have a masculine and we all have a feminine energy. We all do, whether you're male, female, whatever, however you identify, is that we all have masculine energy and we all have feminine energy. And so this is about the divine feminine, the sisterhood, and that which holds us up. And so there is a coaching tool that we use, of where we consult this. We have our center, and then we get to the center, and from the center, we consult with the feminine, and we consult with the feminine, we consult with the masculine, right? We consult with our divine mother energy, we consult with our divine father energy, and then we come back and we consult with our center self. We see each side. So if we can give ourselves enough grace to sit in grace long enough to really to listen to ourselves, listen to all sides, and then come back to center and really be able to make our own choice and our own decisions. And sometimes this moon energy is what rises up the curtain that exposes the shadow energy. The shadow is not our enemy. It's the shadow is always the piece that is protecting us from the bigger enemy. And that bigger enemy It's the self that we portray so often. And it gets kind of, when we say, oh, that's okay, don't worry about it, I don't mind at all, but inside you're hurting and you're aching and you're just like, it's not okay, I don't really like that. And then the shadow's going, why did you say it's okay? Why didn't you speak up? Why didn't you tell your truth? And so then the nagging feeling of the suppression is the thing that keeps there. And so one of the biggest things that that I recognize throughout life, it's like when someone just says, you know, if someone has intentionally, tried to sabotage you, who you are publicly, and then they're like, oh, I'm so sorry I did that, and they do it in a whisper. um, do it loud. Do it loud. Say it loud. Say it loud. Don't say it quietly. Say it loud. Be bold about it. Be bold about about the parts of yourself that may have responded from hurt, from anger, and let it out so that you don't have that sense of inner kind of dialogue with the shame, and letting it out and just saying, you know what, I was an asshole. I remember at one point in my life, I mean, I got several. I got several throughout life. And I just remember being in such a horrible place in my life and just so stressed out. And I lost my shit on a woman in a McDonald's over a freaking gravy container. And I was not nice. And instead of just quietly going back, I mean, I've preached it to the world, and not because, oh, you want to validate that. It's because it just simply is not nice. It's not nice. And so we all have been probably not nice at some point in our lives. But it's not to shame yourself quietly, but it's to be honest about it, that it happens, because the thing we are is we're all human. But I walked back in. I walked back in after a cry in my vehicle. I went out to my vehicle. I sat in my vehicle. I cried hysterically because it was out of character. That's not who I am, and out of character for me. And I walked back in and I said, I have to tell you, I was a total asshole. You did not deserve that. I am so, so sorry. And I know what I just did to you. And I know how much that hurt. And I've had that done to me. I work in public. I work in the public. I know what that feels like. And it's the worst feeling in the world. And you did not deserve it. And you are a beautiful, wonderful lady. And if I can give anything back, it's for me to outright and tell you that your softness, your kindness, your meekness today is the thing that made me angry. And it was because I didn't have the courage to say what I needed to say to the right people. And so when you don't say what you need to say in the right places to the right people or out loud, you will take it out on others. And so when that hurt comes, everybody becomes a reflection of the hurt. And when you have things like slander and those things kind of happen to you, you get that karma back and you recognize how much it hurts. And through the enemy, and I write this in More Than Existing, through the enemy, it's through the eyes of my so-called enemy, who's not an enemy, through the eyes of my so-called enemy, I could see me. And I could see how I was even not nice to my mother because the little girl was still screaming from the inside. There was still something screaming out for a sense of just pick me for once. Pick me, choose me, see me, acknowledge me, love me. And that's coming from the unresolved open wounds of a little girl who no longer existed. So, from the mature emotional intelligence, the emotional maturity, everything that was created through my evolution, through my More Than Existing, and the creating of More Than Existing was the development of the emotional, spiritual, physical maturity to be able to have the courage to really, truly live authentically, to know that the accountability is on us, that we are accountable. We are to become that by healing the unhealed, the unresolved within. And this time that we're in is that time. We are in that period. We're in that period right here, right now. And so sometimes that, we need our sisters, our brothers in our lives. We need those people to kind of put us in check, and not in a mean way, but in a kind way, and just say, is there something going on? Because you're not yourself. Is there anything, do you need something? And, and I can honestly say this is that I've watched too many people leave this earth because too many people have stood back judging instead of asking if there's, what is there something you need? Is there some, like, what's really going on? I see you. I see you through your pain. I see you through your hurt. I see you through your anger. I see you through your frustration. That's the thing about being a medium, is I see. And being able to see the spirit, to see the essence, to see the truth is a such a place of where, you know, you begin to hold yourself to a higher standard. And so from that higher standard, that higher place is recognizing you're still going to be human. But through each and every one of those experiences that you experience, or that you've, that experience with me, that changed. That experience of recognizing the relationship that I had with my mother at the time, it changed my relationship with my mother. It wouldn't mean everything was going to change in our lives. It meant the relationship changed. When I could see her as a fellow human and another human being, just doing the best they could, just trying to survive. When we see all of that, and when we place our expressions in the right place, when we communicate to those right places and to the right people, and it's not about how it's received or how people accept it. It's about that you learn how to express it. And when it's expressed from that place, from the center within, from that finding that divine expression, it's heard, it's received, it's soul level acceptance. And it's like, and that's where the change comes in. And that's where the change begins. And so, yeah. Aw, hello, Sandy. Oh my goodness. Big hugs to you. Aw, I so miss you, Sandy. For those who don't know, for those who are new, I spent the salon and spa I had was in Slave Lake. And I spent a lot of years, a good portion of my years. I raised my daughter in Slave Lake, Alberta. And I met some of the most beautiful people and made the most beautiful connections. And where I truly, a part of who I was, I'm Mi'kmaq First Nations, and really truly stepping in to the culture and with the people of Slave Lake, of the Indigenous communities, and making those connections and making some beautiful, wonderful friends through there, and being a part of their lives and their journey. And Sandy's one of them, and there's many of you in here that are amongst those. um, it was it was profound to me, truly. I arrived, what no one knew at the time, I arrived in Slave Lake probably the most broken I could have ever been. And I had gone through one of the biggest heartbreaks and that I could have ever experienced. And I did not like myself when I arrived. And so, yeah, and so the transition, the change, the choice, but everything was my choice. The kind of stop the train. It was stop the train. And when I stopped the train of my area, and I just said, I had all of this wisdom, all this knowledge. I was training. I was doing all the programs, and I'm like, I don't want to be the unhealed healer. I want to, yes, I can, I'm the fixer, I'm the pleaser. I was. And I'm like, I just want to help other people. But you got to learn to help yourself. And so I stopped the train and I changed my projection and my projection of my business, of my life, of my work. And I said, I'm going to share as I transition and as I go through my healing journey. I'm going to share my experience, and I'm going to share the vulnerability, the truth, and in my books, in my stories. And I'm not going to tell people what to do. I'm going to share my stories in my books to tell you you're not alone. You're not alone. We're all that, and we're all that imperfect, right? We all have that part of who we are. And so it's been that journey of walking that journey and taking that journey through. And so here we are today, and now I'm living in a population of 12, and I am not the hairstylist no more. That part of my life is done. And now I'm a published author and a metaphysical teacher and a medium and all of those things. Those are all titles. But what I truly am is grateful. That's the one thing that I can honestly say, that if there's anything that I can say that I am, is grateful. It's my life is led by gratitude, and I am so grateful. And that's a place where I can say I've made peace, and being able to make that peace. And so where I'm living right now there is barely like there's 12. There's farmlands up over the hill and around, but in this little tiny area, we have 12 people that live here. That's our population. And then our animals. And so it's a different life and a different world. And I would never have thought, if someone told me this is where I'd be now in my life, I would have thought you're crazy. I was going to be amongst the city and the people and big shiny lights and all of those places. And yes, there's still those moments, but as a general rule, like where you think you're going and what you think you're doing, life, when you stop thinking into that creation of where you think you're going to be, and you allow yourself to be moved by spirit and moved by life and moved by the experiences, you may be surprised on where it takes you. So it's all in this energy. And so I just asked for a validation for this wherever. I have no idea what I'm going to talk about when I come in here, ever. I never know what's coming. I just hear, just go live for a few minutes, and this is what we got. So I just asked for a validation card, and we got beautiful transformation. So this full moon and this energy we have this week is an opportunity for a full, beautiful transformation. It don't have to be your whole life. Your whole life don't transform in one go. It's transforming one thought, one habit, making one change, doing one thing differently, changing how you speak to yourself, catching those little gaslighting little moments, those little key moments, saying one yes, one no, different than you would have before. Those are the things that begin to transform our lives. It's not about one big awakening or one big transformation. It's all the little things that leads to the big thing, right? And it's like, so just what is the one little thing that you can do today to be kinder to yourself? What is the one little thing that you can, same card, exact same card. It's a mirror. It's a mirror. And these are my deck of, for anyone new, this is my deck of the Everyday Goddesses. You can purchase them on my website. I'd show you my books, but I actually don't have them up here. They're down in my office somewhere. I don't have them upstairs with me. So my books are all on Amazon, and the books are More Than Existing is the first book. But if you go to the website, the easiest way to get to them, because I wasn't married when the first few books come out, so they're under Corrie Thorne, and then the last book is under Corrie Thorne/Cameron. And so the first book is More Than Existing. The second book is My Truth of Existing Beyond Reflection. And the third book is called Wine and Chips. The first book is the Accountability Responsibility. The second book is about the mirror reflection and look and go, you know what, maybe that wasn't okay. But, maybe I can see things differently, but it still don't make shitty behavior okay. It's that radical self-acceptance, but it's also the realization that when we take accountability for our lives, is that we don't take on the responsibility for somebody else's healing. We don't take on what is not ours. We just say, that's not mine to resolve. That's not mine to fix. That's not mine to heal. That's not mine to carry. And that's where the second book kind of begins that sense of lifting the self back up again. And then the third book is a total about the shadow. I write it about a grape named Rose. And it's the aspects of ourself that we can't yet see. So I tell the story from a grape named Rose. And so that's a shadow book. That's writing about the shadow. And in the end, it's, about coming to life and seeing ourselves through it's the incorporation of our shadow. We don't rid ourselves of our shadow. We recognize that it's there for our protection. It's there to remind us. It's there to kind of wake us up in moments when we're about to lose ourselves again, and we stop ignoring that voice. We stop not paying attention to it. We stop, saying, "Oh, well, I just ignore that." That nagging feeling is a nagging feeling for a reason. That nagging feeling is asking you to sit down and listen to that nagging feeling. And that's wine and chips. And of course, there's more coming, but they're not out yet. But let's just end with a card from the Want to Know a Secret to a Life of More Than Existing other deck of cards. Right? That is great validation. You can't validate that anymore. So get up and out of those slew of old emotions. And thank you, Lisa, for sharing that earlier. So Lisa shared my upcoming event that starts this Sunday. And in the academy, we got a whole bunch of we've got a whole bunch of pre-recorded classes that are all massively, massively discounted. And then there's some free, some of my old workshops that are recorded are now free. And they're free for you to go in. So you just go into the academy, you register in the academy. It's free to register in the academy. And then you get those courses and you put them in your dashboard and you can listen to those programs. And they were previously recorded. There were previous classes that I once taught. They're free for you. So, if you want my help and if you want some of my coaching or some of my guidance, you want to know more about my teachings, there's your opportunity. Go check it out. There's also some of Lisa's stuff in there. And we also, Lisa and I, you see Lisa Richard here. Lisa is Loving Energy Recharge. It's probably what she's under here today. And so we also have this combined yearly for your zodiac sign. You want to know more about you can go get your yearly, you go check out your zodiac sign and it'll give you all the yearly prediction. It'll tell you all about your human design, about the channels and the gates. It'll tell you about your ruling planet, tell you about the elements, about the angels that are the guides for your zodiac sign. It is hours and hours of listening, all for your zodiac sign. And that's in the academy. And it's $49.99, but it's probably 5 hours worth of listening that you can listen to on your own time, all about your zodiac sign. So, and about your human design gates for 2025. So you can go check that out as well. I'm trying to think as I'm going here. So I went to pull you a card from here and I pulled Meet the Creator. Meet the creator, the founder, the author, Corrie Thorne-Cameron. So hello, nice to meet you. Let's try that again. Card number one. So these are daily devotion cards. I'm pull yourself a card every day. It's a daily devotion card. The path to self-discovery begins with looking only into your own reflection and not that of another. To measure oneself against the essence of others is to cast judgment upon oneself. You do know that's simply not okay, right? I'll read that to you again. The path to self-discovery begins with looking only into your own reflection and not that of another. To measure oneself against the essence of others is to cast judgment upon oneself. You do know that's simply not okay, right? That's the message. And that's the full validation of what they're speaking for. So the moon becomes the mirror reflection. The moon is the opportunity for us to look at the unresolved and to ask ourselves, if I could allow my logic and my intuition to work together, what would I discover? that is in the shadows? What is there for me to look at, for me to resolve? What is the unresolved? What am I ready to release? What am I ready to release? And I suggest with this moon, writing out what you're ready to release. And don't try to think it into creation. Sit down with your pen and your paper and just let it come. Just ask the question and wait for the response to just appear through the writing. And just let what you're ready to release be written out, fold it up. If you can burn it, burn it. If not, put it under the tap underneath the water, let all the words dissolve, rip it up, tear it up. I don't care, throw it in the garbage, but burning is what we normally would do. But another way is to, like I said, just put it underneath the water and let all the words dissipate and disappear, and then just ball it up and throw it away. But that's what I have for you today. That's what I was here to share. I will be back to do readings with you again, of course. So yeah, I will be back. But in the meantime, you can go listen to the YouTube video that's up, the reading that's on YouTube, the weekly energy update that's on YouTube. All that's there. I will be back in for another live. My written daily energy updates are on here almost every single day. Not so much on the weekends. I do take a break, but they are pretty much almost every day. There's a new energy update that is written that's also available for your reading here. But in the meantime, I'm going to go take my dog out and look at the snakes that are in my yard. Go check out the snakes that are in my yard. Have a beautiful, beautiful energy or evening. And thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me. And I hope to see some of you on Sunday. Come join me in my program. Send you much love. Bye-bye.